Welcome to this week's edition of the Gardener's Corner program. I'm Jennifer Brown, Family Consumer Science Agent with the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. Last week, we talked about the fact that October is Farm to School Month. And earlier this week, we did a little Facebook Live where we talked about Farm to School Month and we celebrated North Carolina Crunch Day. And we encourage you to crunch with us, to get a fruit or vegetable and take a nice bite in it with us to celebrate agriculture, to celebrate farming, and to celebrate all of the hard work that our farmers do here in North Carolina. And we want to connect all of those resources from the farm to our local schools because the children spend a lot of their time, in schools, and they get breakfast from schools, they can get their lunch from schools, they get snacks from schools, and we want to create an environment where we have the local farms that are working in collaboration with the schools, whether it's providing some local foods at the school meals or for snacks or whatnot. But we want to make sure the kids understand where their food comes from and are showing that appreciation to the farmers. So we have a lot of resources at the extension office that we can share with you, whether it's, recipes or just information, little workbooks, that kind of stuff that you can use to teach your children or grandchildren about the importance of agriculture. And it's a perfect time. October is always great to celebrate Farm to School Month because it's also the time that we have the North Carolina State Fair going on here. Maybe you have a couple more days to go and visit. There's always a lot of rides and, fair foods that you can enjoy, but I want to make sure that you do take time to see the other parts of the fair. The whole purpose of the fair is to celebrate and appreciate agriculture in North Carolina. So visiting the livestock barns, visiting the educational buildings where a lot of youth and adults have entered in, crafts or food items or whatever into the many different contests that they have. So you can go to the Carr Scott building, the Jim Graham building, the educational buildings. Even the Dorton Arena usually has information about the history of agriculture in North Carolina. And it's important to spend the time at the fair to see these different things, to go visit the village of yesteryear and see all of the traditional, crafts and artwork that some of these individuals do. The antique farm equipment barn there, as well as there's always, a barn and areas that are promoting the North Carolina wildlife. The North Carolina Forest Service as well. Go see Smokey and get information, get resources, whatnot, and then come back to Person County or wherever you're from and connect with your local cooperative extension office to learn more and learn how you can help promote agriculture in and around the community. So we want to make sure that you are aware of this information, but also we have a lot of other resources. We're not just about agriculture, even though that is a big chunk of what our office does. In fact, tonight, the extension office, myself, will be at the 50 Shades of Cancer event that is going to be tonight, Friday, October 24th. It's being held at Piedmont Community College in building S100. That event is being hosted by Person Family Medical and Dental Center. And it is just to promote the fact that not only is October Farm to School Month, it's also cancer awareness or breast cancer awareness month. And so we celebrate that every year. And we want to, honor the people who are, surviving and fighting cancer, those who've already fought their battle and won, honoring and memorializing those who have passed on as well, and just providing information about different resources as well. So that event is open to the public. It's again tonight, Friday, October 24th at 5:30 12:30 at the Piedmont Community College. Just, kind of follow the road around until the building at the end, which is the S100 building. And they will be providing food, a nice, lovely meal, as well as they will have guest speakers who are survivors of cancer telling their story. They will have door prizes. They will have a variety of different organizations, such as Cooperative Extension, that will have a vendor booth so you can get some other information and resources. So I want to take a minute and just kind of talk a little bit about cancer. We will have some information available at our table, but when we talk about cancer, we talk about the ways to prevent or delay a cancer diagnosis, specifically screening. We want to encourage you to get screening. We know that cancer screening saves lives. And especially if you are in that 40 to 50 or whatever plus age, it's even more important. When you hit the age of 40, then that's when the lovely, mammograms start and the cervical cancer screening starts. The colonoscopies start as well. And then, you know, there are a variety of different questions that you might want to ask your doctor. And so we encourage you to, talk to your doctor about these screenings, when you need to start getting screened, how often you need to be screened. There might be something in your family history or something with regards to your health that they might want you to get screened earlier than the normal recommended age. Okay, so just making sure that you're getting these screenings done, and talking to your doctors, whether it's a gastroenterologist or all the different specialists for each different type of circulatory system, your respiratory system, your cardiovascular system, all of them have specialists. And, your doctors are seeing the different screenings, the different x-rays, the different test results. They can tell you a little bit more about when you need to get screened. Family history might put you at a higher risk. As well as, sometimes men, are more susceptible to certain types of cancer than women. Certain ethnicities as well have a higher rate of certain types of cancer. So having that conversation with your doctor is extremely important. And we can provide you information about those things as well. And in fact, we have a cancer series. We have materials and PowerPoints and workshops that we can offer on specific types of cancer, or even just kind of a cancer's basic. We have a kind of a document that we can share with you that gives you a little bit about the basics of cancer. It's not just one type of disease. It's a related group of diseases that can start anywhere in your body. And just because you have one type of cancer doesn't mean that it can't transfer and, become a different type or infect a different organ as well. So we want to make sure, and there are different risk factors that put you more at risk for cancer. Again, hereditary, but there are also just sporadic risk factors too. So we want to provide information to you about that. And one of the best things that we tell you as well is to eat healthy. We want to make sure that you are eating proper nutrition as well as exercising, because diet and exercise can help delay or prevent certain types of cancer, such as, breast cancer, colon cancer, different things like that. If you are, undergoing cancer treatment, or maybe you are in remission or whatever else, typically you will have those specialists that will give you a specific guideline about, this is the diet, or this is the things you need to stay away from. This is what's recommended. You might get paired up with a registered dietitian that can give you those specific details. But if not, just eating healthy. And when we say healthy, again, if something is healthy for your heart, it's probably healthy for your brain and the rest of your body. So one of the healthiest ways of eating that we recommend is the Mediterranean way of eating. So this just means you can eat lots of fruits, lots of veggies, beans, fish, nuts, good heart healthy fats like olive oil. It's recommended to get about 3 servings of fruit and 3 servings of vegetable every day. Again, that's about a cup and a half, maybe, is what's recommended. And we like a variety. Remember, there's a lot of different colors of fruits and vegetables, and those colors can remind us that there's a lot of different nutrients, a lot of vitamins, and a lot of minerals that we are going to get from those fruits and vegetables. So the more colors, the more variety of nutrients we are getting. You can still eat those whole grains and those starchy vegetables as well. Again, depending on if you also have, if you're overweight or if you also have diabetes or susceptible to diabetes, we might want to watch some of those, eat more non-starchy vegetables than the starchy ones. Dairy is perfectly fine as long as you can, digest that. We recommend the lower fat or fat-free versions of dairy products, whether it's cheese or yogurt or milk or any of that kind of stuff. And then again, cooking with the heart healthy fats, those olive oils is good. The vegetable oil, and again, good heart healthy fat is also in those nuts and those seeds. So those are great things to snack on. That seafood and that fish as well. And again, there are certain things that you can eat, every day. There's certain amounts that we recommend. It's good to eat 3 servings of fish or seafood a week. That's just a healthier type of protein for us, and it has those good heart healthy omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Eggs is as well. Again, if you are have an issue maybe with cholesterol or whatever else, then you can eat as many egg whites as you want. The yolk is the part that has the higher amount of cholesterol. So, limiting that might be a thing if you are concerned about high cholesterol there. When you're eating your meat, and if that's how you're getting your protein, again, you can have your red meat. We want to limit that a little bit better. If you are eating the white cuts of meat, that's the healthier cuts of meat. But taking that skin, taking that fat off, getting the leaner cuts of meat is what we recommend as well. We don't want you to start drinking if you're not drinking, but if you are drinking, we recommend red wine. Women are just kind of limited to about 1 glass per day, where men, again, can have a little bit more. Desserts, we recommend homemade desserts. Those are typically even are the healthiest for you because they're not as processed with as much, salt or sugar or fat or even chemicals in them. And then just again, not every day. We kind of limit those to, less than maybe 3 servings a week. So just when I talk to people about different things like that, I'm reminding them that there's nothing that you can't eat. Everything in moderation. We want to make sure that you are getting those nutrients. You're getting those bright, colorful things on your plate. Half of your plate is fruits and vegetables. It's not called the meat and beans category anymore. It's called the protein category. You can get protein from your meat and your beans. You can get it from plants. There are plant proteins you can get as well. You can get protein from those eggs and those nuts and those seeds. So there's a wide variety of things that you can get the nutrients that you need without meat if you're concerned about the saturated fat from some of the meat products. Again, we prefer the white cuts of meat. The deli meats and that sausage and bacon, those are some of the on the eat less often types of meats. They're on that far end of that spectrum there, as some of the most unhealthy types of meats are those highly processed meats and those deli meats there. Again, everything in moderation, but don't forget that physical activity. It's important to be physically active. And in fact, you can join us next Thursday, October 30th at 10:30 at the Person County Senior Center. We are having a Halloween exercise and craft day. You can come to the exercise, you can come to the craft, you can come to both of them. We'll be doing a little light exercise for individuals. You can come and wear a Halloween costume or just a Halloween shirt or whatever else you'd like. That's going to be at the Senior Center. After their normal exercise classes in the morning, we'll start at 10:30, do a little exercise, and then we'll move into the craft room and do a little Halloween wooden pumpkin craft. That those two things are free, and we do ask maybe that you just call the Senior Center or even the extension office and let us know you're coming so we can make sure we have enough space in the exercise room as well as enough craft materials available. Okay, we are going to take a brief break and get a word on from one of our sponsors.
As we start heading toward the fall season, we can already be thinking about the cooler days of fall that will be here soon when we really get to enjoy outdoors and doing our fall lawn and garden work in our flower gardens. It's also time now to kill those weeds in the lawn and be ready for fall seeding. T.G. Brooks Supply Company has the chemicals to do it. They are fully stocked for fall, and meanwhile, if you still need irrigation, they have plenty of irrigation needs such as hose and sprinklers and piping. For your work in the yard, they have yard tools like rakes, hose, diggers, choppers, pitchforks, pruning saws, loppers, wheelbarrows, and lawn carts, and even lawn sweepers. And for your fall flower bed, they have your hardwood mulches and dyed mulches, and that really good triple ground mulch. They have mulch in bags or by the trailer load or pickup load, and they can arrange delivery for you if you need it. So this year, beautify with fresh pine needles for planting, for you get you some topsoil, planting soil, and they have cow manure. They have, by the way, they have the Pride dog food, including the Pride Pro Series. No matter if you're the homeowner or business owner, they can fill your fall needs. If you are the professional landscaper, they can handle commercial accounts. It's no wonder people from every corner of Person County travel to T.G. Brooks Supply. They love the friendly family business where every customer, no matter how large or small, is treated with courtesy. They serve homeowners, farmers, and those in construction. They have since 1936, where they remember Maybell's Boutique across the street. For children's clothing, remember Maybell's Boutique. Shoes and other needs for children. We are all thankful, and definitely it all comes together when you pay a visit to T.G. Brooks Supply and Maybell's Boutique, Helena Maria Road in Timberlake.
Are you ready to tackle your next big project? Look no further than Milam Rental, now proudly certified as a woman-owned business. For all your equipment needs, whether it's excavating, landscaping, or aerial equipment, Milam Rental has got you covered. From big to small jobs, we've got the right equipment for you. Visit our website at milamrental.com or call us at 434-334-2884. Milam Rental, where one call does it all. Located at 5190 South Boston Highway in Sutherland, Virginia, not far from the Highway 58 and Highway 62 intersection.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Gardener's Corner program. I'm Jennifer Brown, Family Consumer Science Agent with the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. Before the break, I mentioned that October is Farm to School Month. And in November, our Extension Office will also be celebrating Farm City Week. Again, this is a week-long event that we will have different activities each day. We'll be celebrating it the first week of November, from November 3rd through the 8th. And every day we just have a small little event or activity that we're going to be doing. So be sure to check out our Facebook page with the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service Person County Center, or my Food for Thought Facebook page at Person Granville FCS to get more information about each of those events. But throughout the month of October and November, we always want to promote agriculture, and we want to make sure that you are aware that there's a lot of myths out there And it can be hard to kind of, figure out which is a fact and which is maybe a fib that you're reading out there. So I want to kind of to go over some of that with you. So when you are thinking about the word agriculture, or even just talking about your food system, how the food gets onto your plate there, think in your mind, what is that, what are the different steps, or what are you thinking about when you think about that process there? Because oftentimes people forget that it's kind of about like a 7-step process. The farmers are the ones who are, yes, they're producing that food. So we have that food production step, and then it's got to be, picked up and distributed. So it's taken to the food processing plant. And then once it's processed or packaged or whatever else, then we're going to do the marketing. You see a lot of different marketing. I don't think we see it as much now as we used to. I remember growing up and I used to see a lot more the Jolly Green Giant, commercials, or those, Oscar Mayer Wiener or whatever. Now I see a lot more advertisements for fast food, things like that. But there is a marketing process for that. And again, then it is, once they've got all those labels and all those little things put on there, then it's shipped to the actual market where you have a chance to purchase it. You prepare it, you consume it, and then you toss it, So again, food production, distribution, aggregation, food processing, marketing, markets and purchasing, preparation and consumption, and then that resource and waste recovery, because we do waste a good amount of food. But even if not the food packaging, it has to go somewhere as well. So it is a big, process there. And you've probably, throughout all of those different steps, you've heard different, I'll call them buzzwords, different things. Oh, I've heard about, organic or GMOs or cage free or hormone free or grass fed or any of these things. And I don't know what any of them mean. Well, again, your local extension office can help provide information on what some of those food labels mean, and, kind of how to figure out your way around those. We do have some people that are always, asking questions or concerns about pesticides. And again, if you've ever had a garden in your backyard, you've had some kind of bug, trying to, eat your squash, or eat your tomatoes or just whatever else. And if we don't use, pesticides, we would lose about a third of the food products due to pests. Again, so by us using some of these things, we are able to keep food prices cheaper. We're also able to produce enough food to feed us. Again, there can be concerns about pesticides. We want to make sure that they are being used properly, they're being stored properly, they're not being sprayed on things that they shouldn't be. We need to test how they might be affecting our pollinators, how they might be affecting the individuals who are spraying them. That's why they have personal protective equipment, PPE, that they are supposed to be wearing. And again, but we also need to understand that these pesticides are extremely regulated, and the farmers themselves are going to follow the guidelines, and they don't want to abuse the use of the pesticides, because it's just like if you take too much, medicine, you take too much aspirin or Tylenol or whatever product you might take, eventually your body's going to get accustomed to that, and it's not going to be as effective on your body to stop headaches or pain or whatever else. Pesticides can be the same thing. So the farmers are not going to overutilize them. Otherwise, eventually they'll just become ineffective. So the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, as well as the USDA, is, very regulating these farmers. So you don't have to be concerned about that as well. as well as the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, sets very strict limits for the amount of pesticide residues that are allowed to remain on foods. And those limits are minuscule. Okay. So, for example, you'd have to eat 81 pounds of oat cereal a day to reach the EPA's pesticide residue limit. Okay. So nothing you eat is going to come close to that limit there. Okay. So again, going through certain, fibs and facts and which, what are myths or whatnot. When, some people will tell me, oh, I eat only organic produce because it doesn't have pesticides. Organic produce can use pesticides as long as it's coming from a natural source. Okay. So there are kind of organic pesticides. It's just coming from an organic source. So an example would be you could use copper sulfate to treat a fungicide problem there. Again, this is a natural product. Therefore, it's considered organic and it can be used to stop pests. Okay. So again, some of our natural pesticides have been found to be just as dangerous as some of the man-made ones there. So just because it's organic doesn't always mean it's safer or better for you. I'm not saying it's not good. No way, in shape, or form am I saying any of that. But just because it has that word doesn't mean that it is safe or whatever else. The organic process is about the methods that it's done. It's not that it's healthier for you. Organic doesn't have a different nutritional value. Carrots are carrots there. It's just about how it's produced and what products and pesticide or treatment or whatever else is being used on it. Okay. So we just want you to have the facts and we don't want you to be fearful. It's not that it's not good for you, but just being organic doesn't mean that it's pesticide free. Doesn't mean that it's healthy. Doesn't mean that it's local. It doesn't mean that it's fresh. It doesn't mean that it's better. Okay. It just means that it was processed differently. Okay. Again, there are, when people hear the word genetically modified, we want you to understand that even apples are genetically modified organism. It was put on the GMO list in 2017. It doesn't mean that your apples are bad or any of that kind of stuff. It was put on that list because they have been modified so they don't brown as quickly. So our apples can have a longer shelf life. I always have people that, oh, I don't want to eat any GMO products. And I'm like, then your bananas, if they weren't GMO, or your apples, if they weren't GMO, wouldn't last that long. And then you'd be complaining that they're always rotting so quickly. Again, GMOs are things that we have crossbred plants. We've been doing it for centuries now. And so it's a very targeted process there that we've just tweaked their genetic code in some way. It could be, again, to have a longer shelf life so the apples don't brown as quickly. Currently, the GMOs in the US are apples, canola, corn, cotton, alfalfa, papaya, potatoes, soybeans, summer squash, and sugar beets. Okay. It takes so much time and so much money for research and development to get government approval to be, on approved lists. So trust me, that's partly why some of your food prices are as high as they are, is because the farmers are being so regulated. They have so many steps, so much paperwork, so much process, so much extra steps to do to make sure that this food meets these certain guidelines that it costs them so much extra money. Okay. Also, I've heard different things about hormone-free kind of things or gluten-free products. Just because a product is gluten-free doesn't mean it's better for you. Gluten-free is important for those people who cannot process gluten, okay? So they can't process proteins from wheat, barley, or rye. But sometimes they put a gluten-free label on it because it doesn't have gluten anyway. They're trying to trick you a little bit. They're going to say, oh, look, peanut butter, our peanut butter is gluten-free. Peanut butter doesn't have wheat, barley, or rye. It's gluten-free anyway. All of the peanut butter is gluten-free, but they'll put that label in there because some people believe gluten-free means healthier. Okay. Just like hormone-free. None of your meat is hormone-free. It was a mammal. Okay. That chicken, that cow, that whatever, it is a mammal. It is alive, just like you and me. I have hormones, so does the chicken. So the chicken is not hormone free, even if it's written on the package that way. None of the meat, the chicken, the cows, none of that, they are not allowed to inject hormones in any of it. So some of the processors of the meat products have put, hormone free on the product. Because again, people are thinking, ooh, I don't want to eat hormones. That's bad, or that's whatever. None of those chickens, it doesn't matter which brand you buy, have had hormones injected into them. That is illegal. They're not allowed to do it anyway. Okay. But it is kind of a misnomer to say that that chicken is hormone free because it's a mammal. It has hormones. It doesn't have any extra hormones that have been put into it, but it still has whatever it had to begin with. Okay. Also, I've heard some people too that, oh, well, it's more affordable. It's cheaper to eat fast food than it is healthy, fresh food. That is not true. We in the United States have the most abundant food marketplace. So many choices anywhere and everywhere. You have the choice to make good, healthy choices. Now, some of those healthy choices might require you to do a little bit of work. Whether it's more expensive to buy that bag of lettuce because they've already washed it, they've already cut it and chopped it and put it in a bag and processed it for you. Okay, they did that work for you. So it's going to cost you more to buy that bag than it is just a head of lettuce that you have to wash, you have to cut up, you have to put in a container or whatnot. Okay, so if you have to do the work, it's going to cost you a little bit more. I mean, it's going to cost you less if you have to do the work. But if you're buying one of those salads and it's got everything with the croutons and the meat and the cheese and the whatnot and the dressing in there, that's going to cost you more. You're paying for the convenience. You're not paying because, oh, well, that is a healthy food, so it's going to cost more. No, you could go and make your food, whatever, if you like Asian or you want some Southern food or fried chicken or whatever else, you could go to the store and buy those ingredients and make it cheaper than by going to the restaurant and buying that same meal. But you are paying extra at the restaurant or that fast food because you're paying for the convenience there. Somebody else did the work. Somebody else is doing the cleanup there. So you have to figure out where you want to put your money at. Are you going to put it towards the convenience or are you going to put it towards the health and wellness of it? Because yes, even if you truly believe healthier food costs more, you're going to pay more for your medical expenses if you are not eating healthy. Okay, you're going to possibly have diabetes and heart disease, and you're going to have prescriptions and those kinds of things. I would rather put my money towards good, healthy foods than I would the convenience or than I would my medical expenses there. So truly understand what healthy means and understand where your money is going and look at, your grocery circulars and say, okay, if I went to, this place and I got fried chicken and I got, these French fries or I got this, what would it cost for you to go to the grocery store and buy, some chicken legs or chicken thighs or whatever else? What would it cost for you to buy the chicken breader? what would it cost for you to buy the bag of French fries and to buy a can of biscuits? It would be much cheaper, and you would be able to have a couple of different meals for the cost of going to that one restaurant and getting that one meal. Again, we have a lot of information on food budgets and then developing a household and food budget, and how if you were trying to stretch your food budget, but you want to also eat healthy. So please feel free to reach out to the Extension office to get more information about that. So we're going to take another brief break and get a word on from another one of our sponsors. Be right back.
Do you have those annoying potholes in your driveway? Need some driveway regrading? Or maybe you just need some new gravel? Give JT Allison a call. Jody has been in business for over 25 years, specializing in driveway grading and hauling gravel. He also does all types of small tractor work and some backhoe and bush hogging work. Jody strives to do a top-notch job and to make sure that you, the customer, is always happy. Whether it's a small job or a big job, we have multiple truck sizes to accommodate your needs. Here at JT Allison, we appreciate your business. Check us out on Facebook at JT Allison LLC, or give us a call at 336-583-6250. Jody and Kim Allison. We are rocking the county one load at a time.
Sandling Golf Cars and Trailers is located 613 Lewis Street in Oxford. Open for business weekdays 8 to 5, Saturdays 9 till 1. Call 1-800-221-9267 or 919-693-4626. Al, Hillary, and Will there to serve you with all of your golf car needs. They have Club Car, E-Z-GO, and Yamaha units. If you're wanting a gasoline or an electric golf car, they have them at Sandling Golf Cars and Trailers. Trojan batteries, parts, and repair service. Thinking about a new grill? Check out the Wilmington Grills at Sandling Golf Cars and Trailers. Speaking of trailers, they have utility, dump, enclosed, stock, and equipment trailers. That's Sandling Golf Cars and Trailers in Oxford, 919-693-4626, toll free 1-800-221-9267. Sandling Golf Cars and Trailers.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Gardener's Corner. Again, a reminder that October is National Farm to School Month, and we understand that there are many different steps to getting our food to our plate, and we want to make sure that when I've spent all of that money to purchase that food, I want to make sure that it's going to last. So when you purchase food, whether it's in a can or a box or whatnot, there's usually a couple of dates on there. And I hear people talking about them as expiration dates. And in fact, I want to clarify, they're not expiration dates. In fact, they no longer have expiration dates on food. They have them on medicines, and they have them on like baby formula and those kinds of things. But when you see dates on your food products, usually it's one of three dates. It's a use by, a best by, or a sell by date. And we want to make sure that you understand what those dates mean so that you aren't throwing out food that's perfectly good. So when, and this is a concern. We talked about that we're wasting a lot of food. And in fact, in the United States, people throw away about 30 to 40% of the food they buy. And we want to make sure that you're not throwing away food unnecessarily. So if you are using those dates that are stamped on your food products as your guide, then we definitely want you to revisit your strategy. So what those numbers mean is there's a sell by date. So certain products, a lot of times it might be your fresh meat products, kind of thing. It says that this is the date that the stores must remove the products by. It's still safe to eat these foods after this date if they've been refrigerated and properly stored. Again, dairy products are usually edible about at least a week past the date that it says sale by. Eggs will keep about 3 to 5 weeks beyond the sell by date listed. And again, other foods that might have sell by dates are some of your dairy products, your lunch meats, your packaged salads mix, those kinds of things. And this is simply the date that the stores have to take the products off their shelves. Oftentimes you will see a best by or use by date. This is the date, and it's a recommended date. It's a date that the manufacturer guarantees that the quality of their food will taste best if you eat this product by this date. Okay, so your potato chips won't taste stale, hopefully, if you eat them by this date. They're perfectly safe for you to eat past that date. Eventually, they will start to taste stale. You're not going to get sick from it tasting off or tasting stale or whatnot. It might just lose some of the flavor there, but it's not a food safety day. So this is not a purchase date. This is not a safety day. This is when they recommend that the product's flavor or quality will be the highest. You have probably purchased, milk or dairy products that say, best by or use by or something like this day. And I know some people, like with that milk, if it hits that date, it's gone. They're tossing it, they'll pour the whole gallon out if they have to, if they haven't drank it by that date. And I know that there's nothing wrong with the milk if you drink it past that day. Now, I also know that sometimes, depending on how you store it, if your refrigerator is kept cold enough, if you store it towards the front of your fridge, like on the door, it's a little bit warmer there, and your milk might not last as long. There are times that I've had milk products that, it has this date on here and it goes bad before that date, a couple of days before that date. And then I've had milk products that lasted several days and they were perfectly fine after that date. So again, it's a quality date, not a safety date. And again, nobody wants to drink, milk if it has any chunks or anything like that. So I completely understanding throwing that out if it smells off or if you see something like that. But again, the smell is not a food safety thing. It's not a foodborne illness that you're smelling. You can't see, taste, or smell a foodborne illness. That is the quality of it. Okay. That is you're smelling the rancid, or you can see mold or those kinds of things there, that's a quality part of it. There are certain things that it tells you a date, like canned foods or crackers or things like this is the date maybe that the product was packaged there. And it helps the manufacturers keep track of their inventory, make sure they're rotating items in or out. But technically, canned foods will be safe for many, many years after the date. Okay. As long as there's not any dents or, there's not been any floodwaters or rust or cracks or any of those kinds of things in there. Now your packaged food, same thing. They'll be safe for long periods of time after that pack date, but they're going to lose some of that flavor. So it's that flavor and that quality there. The canned food, same thing. The taste or the texture might change. Those green beans might not look as bright and green anymore, but they're still food safe for you. So the only time you definitely have to throw out your canned foods if there's a bulge or a dent or if some kind of broken seal, or again, if something smells off, because that is a quality thing there and we don't want you to eat that there too. Mention the use by date is the last date that it's recommended. The use by is kind of like the best by date. It's the last date that it recommends you use that product for its peak quality. Again, the use by date is a completely made up date by the manufacturer there. The only time you will see an expiration date is on that baby formula, baby food, vitamins, over the counter drugs, and then things like yeast or baking powder, cake mix, pectin, those kinds of things, because they might not have the same function. You know, that yeast that you use, if you use it several years later, it might not rise the way it's supposed to there. So it might not be as effective. Same thing with your baking mixes or your pectin if you're making jams or jellies there. When in doubt, throw it out. That's what we're always going to say. But for the canned goods, I will tell you that oftentimes there are certain food pantries that they only deal in out of date canned goods, because they know that if that canned good was processed in a commercial, facility as they're required to be, it is food safe until the end of time, as long as, it's been stored properly and there's no dents or bulges or those kinds of things. If you are also trying to watch your food budget, instead of throwing away food, don't do that. Buy things that are canned or frozen, instead of, if all you're ever doing is throwing away fresh meats or fresh vegetables or whatnot because they rot, then maybe you need to get frozen or canned stuff, or buy it fresh and then freeze it yourself. It's also cheaper if you are buying things when it's in season. So we have a seasonal produce calendar that we can share with you that shows, what time of the year you can get these products in season. And that'll tell you kind of when they're going to be the cheapest to purchase, whether it's from the store or your local farmer's market, or maybe you purchase directly from a farmer there. There are certain things that are in season all year long. You can get collards any time of the year. You can get herbs and spices any time of the year. But if you're looking specifically for like strawberries, that's going to be in a very small, tight window. You can get strawberries any time of the year, but you're going to be paying a higher price in the months that it's not in season. So that might be during those out of season time of years where you want to purchase it in a can or in a freezer package, because they were probably canned or frozen when they were in season. So it'll still be a cheaper price then as well. Again, if you are one of those individuals that it's like, I don't want to go buy food out to eat, but it's just quicker and I don't have the convenience, I just need it to be simple and I need it to be easy. I don't have a lot of time or a lot of equipment or a lot of knowledge on how to, cook things from scratch. You don't have to, okay? If you love the convenience of packaged foods, that's fine. You can try to use those things and still be healthy. Okay. So you want to buy those taco dinner kits. Okay. Making sure that you're using the lean ground meat with it. It can be beef, it can be chicken, it can be turkey. You can even not use meat and put other beans or lentils or things like that in there. Add a variety of vegetables, chopped onions, salsa, shredded zucchini, any of that kind of things to your taco or burritos or whatever else. If you're getting a frozen pizza, try to see if they have a whole grain crust available there. Or I will buy my own like pizza doughs, or even just the whole grain English muffins. And my kids will make their own individual little pizzas there. We'll get crescent rolls and do little cheese and pepperoni or veggies or whatever else to do that. When you're making your own pizza, adding your own toppings, your mushrooms and your peppers and, any of those leftover little veggies that you might have in there too. Any leftover meat, maybe you have a meat from another night, or you have some sausage left over from breakfast you could put on there. If you want to buy those boxed mac and cheese kits or those noodle or pasta dishes as well, stir in some of your favorite, frozen or fresh or canned veggies with those noodle things there. Make your own sauce to be a little bit healthier there. Again, choose whole grain versions of noodles or macaroni things. Use them as a side dish with some kind of a healthier protein or vegetable or that kind of stuff. If you're going to go get frozen chicken nuggets or fish sticks or that kind of stuff, look at the different labels. Some of them are going to have higher amounts of saturated fat or sodium or whatever else, or maybe don't do the chicken nuggets and French fries. Okay, we're going to get the chicken nuggets or we're going to do the fish sticks, but we're also going to have some like a salad with it, or we're going to have some kind of a veggie, but you can still have your chicken nuggets. You just can't always have chicken nuggets and French fries. You want those processed meats, you don't get the starchy vegetable to go with it. Same thing. Breakfast, I love breakfast for dinner. So getting the frozen waffles or the pancakes, they do have whole grain versions, putting them with other toppings instead of just syrup, putting fresh fruits on there, putting some yogurt, or even some people I know will put peanut butter or other kinds of jams or jellies or those kinds of stuff instead of drenching it with so much syrup there. And again, there are plenty of meal kits out there that you can purchase that you're just adding the meat to it. Trying to get the leaner cuts of meat is our recommendation. If you have any, veggies to add to that, or remember, if you go and you buy one of those like chicken and rice skillet, kind of meals, you could very easily make that yourself. I mean, they've got the instant bags of rice, they've got the frozen bags of veggies. You can get canned chicken or go buy you a rotisserie chicken that's already been cooked and pull it off the bone there. And you can very easily make your own chicken and rice skillet meal without buying one of those bags that has so much amount of salt and sodium in there, as well as they're expensive to buy one of those bags. Now it's still cheaper to buy that bag than it is to go buy a whole, tailgate meal for your family at some of the fast food restaurants. And that bag is probably still healthier than some of the other ones. But just thinking about different ways. Can I still compromise? Can I get these fish sticks? Can I get these chicken nuggets? Can I get this meal? But can I also put some fresh and frozen veggies in there? Can I add that color there? What's in season right now? Maybe I need to look at my my grocery store circular and see what's on sale. Maybe I need to buy this now. Maybe I'm not eating it this week, but I know that it's not, that canned product is not going to go bad next week. Now, I don't want you to buy all this canned product or all this freezer product, and then it goes into your pantry or goes into your freezer and you forget all about it. So one of the things that I do and that I recommend is I have a white like easel board that's outside near my freezer. And, in it, I have written on it what's in the freezer, so I don't go buy more chicken when I've already got like 5 pounds of chicken in the freezer, or I've already got, oh, I forgot that I've got this fruit that I bought last year or that I froze here. So I need to keep track of what's in there, so I'm not constantly buying more stuff and I'm never eating what's in my freezer. And then my stuff is getting, freezer burned. So paying attention to your pantry, paying attention to your freezer, not buying something just because it's on sale. If you're not going to use it in a certain amount of time, then it's going to be a waste of money. We also want to make sure that you are aware that every month we offer a Lunch and Learn workshop. So this month's or next month's Lunch and Learn is going to be Tuesday, November 18th at noon. They're at the Person County Office Building. And in honor of, Farm to School Month, as well as Farm City Week, which we'll be celebrating the first week of November, we are doing the Lunch and Learn on Eat Fresh, Buy Local. So we're going to talk about what foods are in season this fall, how to embrace some of our favorite fall flavors while still trying to eat healthy. And so we'll give you some different healthy tips and twists on some of those holiday favorites. So this will be a good workshop for you to attend before finalizing your Thanksgiving menu if you haven't already. You do have to pre-register and prepay. It's only $5 to attend our Lunch and Learn. You will get a nice, healthy, delicious lunch meal, as well as recipes and handouts and a lot of good materials to help you eat healthier this fall. Eat fresh, buy local. You do need to prepay and pre-register by November 14th. So you got a couple of weeks to get that $5 into our office. And I don't know anywhere else you can go and get a $5 lunch that's going to fill you up and taste good as well. So again, we are going to thank you for joining us at our Gardener's Corner program this week. We would love to see you. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Person Granville FCS, and let us know if you want to be on our monthly email newsletter list so you can know about all of the workshops in person or virtual that we are offering in person in Granville counties over the next month. Thanks for tuning in this week.